But he fell here this last summer. And I know there were Christians there. They still drive. They really got all the North Dakota wherever they can. I saw these. We didn't
we had a cabin on Midburg, and we lived in 5 miles. A little bit You got to fix it.
Oh, gee, we played. I can see, but that's one of these kids. It's either on the we watched them on TV somewhere. They'll go in, yeah. I know we called them last year. And then we got something that was great by Facebook. You want me to go too tonight? Yeah. But yeah, we started.
And you got to do it in their back that way. I'm on the county road. I got nothing to hopefully that gets down to get it back to car, and it'll be good. You gotta know that you can get the unit settled and you gotta work everything out. They're important. It's prior to the car. No, it's
All right, at this time, I'd like to announce the results of our election. The Board of Canvass has met, and tonight we had a total of 35 voters for the position of supervisor number E, or letter E, by the way. And the results are 35 votes for Larry Beavis, our incumbent. So thank you and congratulations, Larry. And that is the results of our Board of Canvass. With that, we're going to go ahead and roll right into the beginning of our annual meeting. If you haven't had a chance, there is an agenda on the back table. Let's see, have we run out? Okay. Does anybody need one? I can get you one. We'll make a few more. I'll get some. Are we okay? Okay. And then we also have our past minutes. We also have some copies of maps, as well as our budget and Board of Audit. That's what we're going through tonight as well. Does anybody need an agenda?
I'll check out. No, I see.
Anyone? All right, so at this time, if we could stand and turn to the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, at this time, I would like to call for the motion of selecting a moderator for the meeting.
I nominate Jim Parsons.
Okay, Larry has nominated Jim Parsons. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Marlene has seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So I'll turn the meeting over to Jim Parsons.
Any additions to the agenda? Now I'm looking for a motion to approve it.
I'll make that motion.
George made that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Bill seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Reading of the last year's minutes.
All right, I'm gonna speed read. All right, last year date was March 11th, 2025, 8:15. Clerk Bauer called to order the annual meeting of the Birchdale Township Board at 8:15 p.m. on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at the Birchdale Town Hall. The Pledge of Allegiance was recited. The following were present: Supervisors Jim Karstens, Dale Arns, Arnold Bearshide, Larry Beavis, and Joe Ostendorf. Clerk Jackie Bauer and Treasurer Marlene Van Haverman. Also in attendance was Greg Thuot, Kitty Henneman, Jennifer Tiemann, John Kachimba, Calvin Miller, Jeff Mayer, John Rasmussen, Mary Rasmussen, Claire Bearshide, Don Salzman, Bridget Salzman, David Thorson, Hermina Blazer, Patsy Arms, Delane Sawyer, Edward Wilmotha, Gary Raring, Riley Ostendorf, Eric Peterson, Jody Welsel, Jim Boyer, Chad Nisgop, Goki, Pete Lyncher, Robbie Johnson, Ryan Beckers, Henry Pickman, Joshua V.S., Todd Dilly, and John Florin. Election of a moderator. Clerk Bauer announced that the electors would need to nominate a moderator for the meeting. A motion was made by Supervisor Arnie Bearshide, seconded by Supervisor Larry Beavis, and unanimously carried that Supervisor Jim Parsons serve as the moderator. Announce agenda for the rest of the meeting. Moderator Parsons announced the agenda for the meeting. A motion was made by Supervisor Joe Ostendorf, seconded by Supervisor Dale Arns, and unanimously carried to approve the agenda. Clerk Bauer then read the March 12, 2024 annual meeting minutes. A motion was made by Supervisor Arns, seconded by Marlene Van Haverman, and unanimously carried to approve the meeting minutes. Treasurer Van Haverman then presented and reviewed the audit report for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Treasurer Van Haverman explained what each fund is comprised of and that road and bridge and the gas tax fund are both used for maintenance of township roads. Treasurer Van Haverman also read through receipts for the year. A motion was made by Supervisor Bearshide, seconded by Pete Lyncher, and unanimously carried to approve the Board of Audit report for the year ending December 31st, 2024. Supervisor Ostendorf stated that the township roads are in fairly decent shape. He stated that this year nature has been kind to us with weather. However, dust control was not as effective due to the excess moisture that we had. Timing is somewhat difficult with dust control and the weather. Joe stated that we did not do any crack filling this year. For gravel roads, our contractor is trying to blade shoulders and bring a crown back into the roads. This is something that will continue to be worked on. Greg Thuot is now our new snow plower. Resident Calvin Miller shared that he felt Greg is doing a great job. Joel then spoke about upcoming road projects. He stated that the township is proceeding with reclaiming Elcott Drive next spring. The township is contracting with Widseth Engineering from Alexandria. Elcott Drive is approximately 25 years old, and the engineer is determining whether overlaying or reclaiming should be done on the road. Correction. There was also a number of problem areas on the road that need to be repaired this year. The township is working with Todd County Soil and Water on some of those in order to obtain grant funds to offset the repair costs. The plan was to try and do the work yet this past fall, but we ran out of time. In the end, it worked out as there was a lot of rain and it was better that we waited then. The work will not be done this coming spring, and the township will cost share with the county. The engineer would like to see Elcott go through a year of driving with a freeze and a thaw after the road repairs and culvert repairs are complete. So then the project will be done in the spring of 2026. The engineer has also recommended that we try and group mailboxes on the road, but this is his preliminary recommendation. He will be attending the April 2025 township meeting to give a presentation on Elcott Drive. A resident asked about reclaiming and whether this would mean grinding off the top and resurfacing. Supervisor Ostendorf stated that yes, equipment comes in and grinds off the top layer and then an overlay of tar is laid down. The engineer stated there is a solid base underneath Alcott Drive. Whether it is decided to do an overlay or a complete reclaim after the tar is laid down, it will also be microsealed within the first year. This is shown to help maintain a tar road longer. Another resident asked whether residents can attend the April meeting and if a reminder could possibly be mailed out, and Supervisor Ossendorf stated yes. Another resident shared they appreciate the orange postcards that are sent out. Resident Gary Raring asked how much it would cost to repair the problem areas. Supervisor Ossendorf stated that it may cost approximately $140,000. He stated the cost is significant because of a very large culvert, 72 inches with an apron that will need to be installed in one area. Supervisor Arms added that the township has been moving slower on this project to ensure that all of the repair work is done correctly. President Raring commented that the longer it takes, the more expensive it becomes. Supervisor Ossendorf stated that borings beyond 12 inches will be done on the road in order to make sure we get past any issues for the road. The road is held up well except for the specific areas. Supervisor Ossendorf then provided an update regarding broadband in the township. He stated that RVIG is interested in continuing work, but funding is the problem. Supervisor Ossendorf will continue to stay in contact with RVIG to encourage expansion of broadband. Treasurer Van Haverman then presented the budget numbers for Birchdale Township, including the expenses for road maintenance in the township, including a 10-year comparison. She shared that the current budget is $50,000 in our general revenue, $23,000 in the fire fund, and $385,000 in road and bridge, for a total of $458,000. She stated that we have three options. We could pass the levy at the same amount, $458,000. We could increase it by $50,000 for road and bridge, or we could increase it by $100,000 for road and bridge, for a total levy of $558,000. A resident asked whether it was raised last year, and Treasurer Van Haverman stated that yes, it was by $100,000. The resident asked whether it could ever go down, and she stated yes, residents could vote to lower it. Treasurer Van Haverman shared that the board is looking at what other tarred roads need to be repaired in the township and the fact that we don't have a large surplus. Treasurer Van Haverman stated that the township does plan to apply for a road grant to assist in paying for Alcott Drive, but this is not a guarantee. So the township is planning to look at borrowing the funds, also called bonding. Resident Miller asked about the number of miles of tarred road in the township. Supervisor Berscheid shared this information, and also that there are 2 bridges in the township. He stated that the other tarred roads are beginning to show wear and will also need to be overlaid or reclaimed in the next 10 years. Resident Miller stated that he wished the funds would have been put away sooner, but he stated that he would be okay with the extra assessment. He feels that being proactive is good. Supervisor Carstens stated that most townships do not have the funds and are faced with these tough decisions. Also, he stated that we could wait longer to do the work, but costs continue to increase. We know what we need to do, it's just the funding, and that is the problem. Resident Rob Johnson stated we don't want to get too behind, and it would be better to increase the levy a little at a time rather than a large jump. Supervisor Vivas stated that the board has tried to keep taxes down in the past, but now we are having to catch up. Supervisor Berscheid stated that some of the other roads that are going to need repair include 245th Avenue and Blue Spruce. We can't let the roads go. A resident shared that sometimes the shorter roads don't get as much attention and felt that Archer Drive wasn't plowed as much. Supervisor Ossendorf encouraged all residents to let the board know if there are problem areas or road issues such as plowing. A motion was made by Supervisor Larry Vivas, seconded by Eric Peterson, and unanimously approved to increase the levy by $100,000 and to put this amount into road and bridge fund. Supervisor Berscheid shared that there was interest in moving up the time of the monthly township meeting from 8 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. so that the meetings do not go so late. Resident Peterson asked what the board preference was, and the board stated that they would like the meeting moved up to 7:30 p.m. A motion was made by Chad Niskoki, seconded by Eric Peterson,
and unanimously carried to change the monthly township meeting time from 8 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Other township business. Resident Rob Johnson shared that he lives along Almond Drive and has a lot on Little Birch Lake. He stated that there is a walkway that runs along the lake and all of the lots, which was placed there in 1908. It is still showing on a plat map. There is no public access to the walkway, and for some lake lots, the lake has eroded where the walkway was originally. Multiple lot owners have built over the walkway on their lot, and in fact, resident Johnson has a retaining wall built on the walkway. This could cause issues for residents with any permitting for any future construction, and resident Johnson would like to pursue having the walkway vacated. A motion was made by Marlene Van Haverman, seconded by Jeff Meyer, and unanimously approved to vacate the lake walk running parallel along the lots off of Almond Drive along Little Birch Lake. Resident Josh Simic also addressed the meeting and stated that he would also like to pursue a street vacation in Ward Springs, which is labeled as the Old Main Street on a plat map. There are a number of unused old streets still showing up on a map for Ward Springs. Resident Simic is pursuing selling a portion of his property and needs to have the street vacation corrected prior to making the sale. The motion was made by Rob Johnson, seconded by Supervisor Arnie Birchdale, and unanimously carried to approve the Main Street vacation. Maps for both of these vacations will be included with these minutes, and the township will work with the residents and their township attorney to complete the vacations. A motion was made by Supervisor Ossendorf, seconded by Eric Peterson, and unanimously carried to set the next annual meeting and township election for Tuesday, March 10, 2026 at the Birchdale Township Hall, with election hours to be from 4 to 8 p.m. and the annual meeting to begin at 8:15 p.m. Notice of the election and meeting to be published in the Sauk Center Herald and the Long Prairie Leader, posted on the township's website and town hall bulletin board. With no further business, a motion was made by Supervisor Larry Beavis, seconded by Jeff Meyer, and unanimously carried to adjourn the meeting at 9:30 p.m. The board thanked all of the residents for attending the annual meeting. Respectfully submitted, Jackie Bauer, Birchdale Township Clerk. A little faint, can't breathe, the blood is left ahead.
Any corrections? If not, looking for a motion to approve it.
I'll make that motion.
Marty made a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Joe second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Board of Audit report?
All right, so our Board of Audit, I'm just going to go through, I just passed out some copies of the Board of Audit. If you don't have one, you can maybe share with your neighbor. Anyhow, we began the year of 2025 with a balance in our general fund of $233,349.55. We have receipts that total $59,771.46. We have disbursements that total $49,609.36 for an ending balance of $243,511.65. We also have got an investment balance showing of $26,274.06 for a total balance of $269,785.71 in our general fund. Road and bridge. So the road and bridge and the gas tax, again, are what is used to do the road work projects that we have. So road and bridge, we began the year in a negative $166,417.87. We had receipts that totaled $397,211.58. Disbursements totaled $459,425.80. We have an ending balance of negative $228,632.09, an investment of negative $54,475.94, for a total balance in the road and bridge at the end of the year of a negative $281,108.03. Then we have the gas tax. So we began the year with a $286,919.67 balance. Receipts totaled $41,743.71. There were no disbursements that were put against that. Ending balance is $328,663.33. No investment balance, so the total balance remains at the $328,663.38. Our fire account at the beginning of the year had a negative $24,718.18. We received receipts of $22,264.58. We had disbursements of $30,996.60 for an ending balance of a negative $33,450.20. However, it's offset by an investment balance of $26,237.97 for a balance at the end of the year of negative $7,212.23. So our total beginning balance was $329,133.17. We earned receipts of $520,991.33. We had disbursements that totaled $540,031.76. We have got an ending balance of $310,092.74. We have an investment balance of $36.09. That $36.09 is what we have in our share account at the bank. So we have a balance tonight, or at the end of 2025, of $310,128.83. So I can tell you that the road and bridge, one of the big hits that we had on that this last year was Elcott Drive. We had a total expenditure of $262,570. And that included maintenance and supplies, so mostly maintenance. That was $224,240. Materials totaled $9,432. And then the engineering totaled $28,898. So that was a big portion of our road and bridge from last year.
Any questions from the town?
Quick question, just the gas tax, how does that come about? Is that like gas sales within the township?
No,
or-
it's a state tax
Oh.
that we receive, and it's based on the number of miles of roadway that Birchdale Township has. So it's calculated each year. So our total that we received this last year was $41,743.71. And we just got our gas tax for 2026. And I can tell you what that one was.
So every year it'd be based on the same number of miles, it's just
Correct.
what rate you're getting reimbursed
Yes.
at? Okay.
Yes, so 42,339 is what we got this year.
It can only be used on roads.
It's for road work,
It can
yes.
only be, it's limited to road work cost.
Where does the grant from Todd County come into play?
Well, it's not in here yet.
Not in there.
The Todd County grant,
Yeah.
or you mean for soil and water?
Soil and water, yeah, for the
Oh,
culverts.
I'm gonna turn that question up over to the board. That was monies we received from Todd County Soil and Water.
Right,
One
so there's a cost share on the culverts, only on the lake side, and all of the rock riprap that was put in. We had to stabilize the other side of the road, which it didn't cover, so it was only a portion of it, and of which there was a maximum that we could apply. And from when the grant started to the end of the year, there was a limited amount of funds, so it was kind of a first come, first served. All that to say, of the 26,000 that we had available based on the max that they would match, we got 21,000 approximately back because of when it was applied and when we got the funds. So that was applied against that 270,000 total. We spent, I think you'd said it, 224, somewhere in there on
Elcott,
it.
262.
But just on the materials and
Oh, yes, on the materials alone, that was 224.
224
Yes.
was what that grant went towards.
Any other questions? Move on to township reports. A, township road update. Bill, do you want to go start?
I can start, sure. So maybe I'll start with all of the other roads, of which there's not much of an update. We will talk more about the other roads in item B. The line, I won't say the lion's share, but most of our roads, just like last year, are in good shape. We, again, struggled with dust control this year, but it was better. I think we all are pleased with the snow plowing that we're getting. Only heard positive feedback. We have had some people talk about the gravel that's in the ditches. Part of that is the conditions. The operator is very good. It's not his fault. It's just when you have snow like today and it sticks to the gravel, when you peel it up, it takes the gravel with it off the ditch. So there's always a little bit of that. It's just, unfortunately, a cost of doing business. But all that to say, otherwise, Army and I were out yesterday looking at the roads, and they're all in very, very good shape, save for those that you heard in the minutes that Jackie read earlier, and those that we'll talk about next. If it's all right, maybe I'll just move right into item B.
One thing, you're right, snow plowing a million times better. I even stopped and told a couple times, not even a comparison to what it was before, so that's excellent, thank you guys.
Getting that earlier. I was just gonna say, you're gonna have to be up about 3:30 if you're gonna stop and talk to them.
I am. I gotta watch Arnie, make sure he's not sneaking around.
I know he's up early because we had some trees down that first snowstorm in November, and I had Todd County Sheriff call me at 3:30, and he called me right while I was talking to them and bringing the trees right off the road. So point is, he's out early, he's getting after it. If you have any other comments, let us know, but I can't speak for the rest of the board, but I'm certainly pleased.
So part of that is he has only one township to do, or previous, doing numerous townships and trying to get around, so that helps. His only responsibility is this one and that.
And it's nice too, he's a resident, so he lives in the township, doesn't have to travel far, and it's nice to see the money spent back in the township instead of, not that a previous contractor is bad by any means, but it's just nice to see the local.
So Archer Drive now is, he's doing a good job.
He's doing a great job. It actually is fun, and that's awesome.
Okay, good.
I only have one comment, when it blows the snow, I got no problem, but sometimes that layer ice gets on it, when it gets kind of warm, it gets super slippery, it sprinkle a little bit of sand a little more often on it,
Yep, it's good feedback, Gary. We actually talked to him a few weeks back. He's got a blade now, and he's talking about getting the scarifying teeth for it instead of, so he does put more sand and salt down than we've seen prior, mostly at intersections, but you're right, some of the other sections.
some of those come down right here, that gets to be a skating,
Yep. He's talking about getting the scarifier blade, which we did a couple of years ago once, and it worked really, really well. If he does indeed get that, something we could consider doing in the future as well. But the point is taken, and I can share that.
But that's part two of, if that occurs, the property owner should contact them. I know I talked to Herb Harder, and when, on some of the roads too, and say, Herb, it's getting icy. If they don't know, they don't, you've got to communicate.
Yeah.
And most of them get right on it.
Talk to one of the supervisors and you get a hold of him.
Yep.
But you guys know more.
Yep, exactly right. That's it. Gary said, if he knows it's icy, give a call because they usually would get right on that.
Yeah, exactly right. That's why we're here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to reach
Yep.
out.
And when it's really cold and you throw the sand on there,
You don't.
nothing's gonna happen.
Right.
It's just gonna.
Yeah, if the sun doesn't hit the road, it's not gonna work.
And me,
Thank you for the feedback. So,
appreciate it.
same as last year, the topic du jour this year is Altot Drive, obviously. So we're moving forward with Project Well. All the preparation work that we did last year, I think, not only went well, but has held up well, and was proper prior planning, has worked out well for us. So we had a bid letting, and we got very, very favorable bids back. This is probably, the engineer said this is one of the rare instances where timing worked out well for us. Somehow costs went down. We got a very, very favorable bid. Now, we haven't awarded anything yet. That'll come up at our next month, end of this month meeting.
Do you want those? Or did you?
Since we haven't really discussed it as a board,
Okay,
we don't know which direction we're gonna go, probably best if
Okay.
we don't mention, but it's under budget, is what I'll say at this point. So there's some that are over budget, but, I think with Todd County's project and the proximity of the contractors, they were able to come in significantly less. The engineer said, his quote was, "We'd be a fool to not do the project this year because it won't ever be cheaper." So that's at least a little bit of a win for us. One of the other points that Jackie mentioned in the minutes last year, we have applied for a state grant again to help offset the costs. We tried to, instead of going for the full amount, we reduced it, we would pay more of a share to try to sweeten the deal with the state. We all know the state budgets are very tight. I was on a phone call with the DNR yesterday about one of our roads, and they were saying that HFDEC cut their budget. We're seeing that with other programs as well. So the likelihood of us getting the grant is unknown, but we'll find out later this month. Either way, we're gonna go ahead with the project, just given the need and the favorable bids that we received, provided we all vote to agree to the prices. So that project will be starting sometime through the summer. It hasn't been determined yet. First, we have to award it. Then the engineer will work out the final details with the contractor. The prices will be set, of course, once we award it. And then maybe just a couple updates on it from the minutes. We are not grouping mailboxes. The mailboxes are going to stay where they're at. We are going to put in swinging mailboxes. And there will be micro sealing done on the project this year. Instead of waiting a full year, we're going to do it right away this year, and the bid covers that. So that's probably the biggest Alcott updates. Maybe I'll stop there and take any questions before talking about some of the other upcoming projects.
You're gonna look to switch the fire numbers to vertical versus horizontal versus vertical?
That's a good question. So we did, as a township, last April, adopt the policy to switch the signs. However, it's only on needed basis or as needed basis. So if your sign gets hit or mysteriously disappears, one could get replaced with it, but will not make the effort to go through and replace them all. The county is actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Jack, the county has moved in that direction as well.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Yep.
but there's a lot of signs to replace out, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I would just comment, the culvert work and the rock work and stuff. I think MBC did a lot of that. They did a really nice job on that, and just the process with them, with the road closures and all that stuff. I thought it went very, very smoothly. It was nice to have them as part of that project.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yeah, we were very pleased with them. In fact, the soil and water, I met with them for the grant funding before they started, and we met with them after it was all done, and they were very, very pleased with the work. They said, we wish we could have them do all of our work, just for the reason of how nicely it was done. So, and you know, we were on the road yesterday. It's not terribly wet out, but it's amazing to me how dry where we put the tile in that part of the road is yet, even now. You'd think with the frost coming out, or if it's just as wet as it has been the last few days, that it would be soggier through there. Even with the tar last year, it was soggier than it is now. It's just like asphalt right through there. So it looks very promising.
Yeah, I think the bare areas or whatever that were ripped up, if you can get one more grading, and then maybe it'd be nice, because they're getting pretty rough again. But I think it's compacting real well. It's holding up real well. Yeah, keeping the crown and all that. So, look good.
Yeah, if we, depending on when the paving project is to initiate, we'll probably do a blading before then, just to, if it's early May, we'll probably do it once. If it's later in the summer, we'll have to do it once or twice more. But we'll certainly maintain it. Been good. I guess moving on to some of the other roads. So we have, we kind of made a priority list based on some other things that need to be done, most of which are this year, are just for strategic reasons. So Bluegill Drive is a culvert that's got a hole in it. The water is actually running around the culvert, so we need to reset it. And there's asphalt on that road, so because of the cost, we're gonna try to do all of our asphalt patching this year, since we have a contractor lined up. We just have to provide the engineer a list of locations. He'll go out and assess them and work with the contractor to build those in. So we'll be doing a culvert reset, and out, the problem with Bluegill is a dead end road, so the road's gonna have to be shut down the day they do it. So hopefully everybody will have their cars out before then. Reset the culvert, pack it, and then it'll be gravel until the asphalt work is done, and they'll come back and repave it. We had to do that on Allman Drive last year. There was a culvert that completely rusted out. We replaced it, so we put crushed asphalt on it. Now we will patch that with asphalt again this year. Alligator Road has a little bit of patching that needs to be done. Ambassador Drive, a couple locations, and believe it or not, there's a pothole on Brickyard Road, if anybody cares, nobody lives on it. That we will also patch, so it's right off of Alcott. That'd be the patching. Then, just as you heard in the minutes, last year we talked about 245th Avenue. There's ditching, sloping, culverts, some approach work done there, as well as tiling and riprap. There's 251st Avenue, which was not on the list last year, but was something we had been discussing. And the last road, this one and the next one I'm gonna mention, have been on our list for a while. We're gonna be doing some ditching, culverts, resetting a culvert there, some sloping, some gravel, lift down the entirety of the road, shouldering, and there's a thought of putting a asphalt apron on the south end of it because of how much it keeps washing out and the potholes that develop there. We have 215th Avenue. There's some rock removal, ditch cleanup, and some sloping and some tree removal there. That's just something that we didn't get to when we did all the ditch cleaning a few years ago. That our ditch mower hit with their mower, so we should probably get after just to save some equipment and keep the trees from growing up like we did everywhere else. 110th Street, there's cul-de-sac improvements and tree trimming, and 130th Street, there's culverts, approach, sloping, and gravel. That's kind of the list for this year, and I went through them quickly. I know we're all thinking about cost. These roads we've been putting out for a while, that the costs are varying. 245th, we got quotes back last year, right around that $15,000 mark. We will have to go back and get quotes again this year, so it could be more, it could be less. 251st, we have to go out and get quotes if we, as a board, agree to do the work. So that will be TBD yet. And the other roads, we have quotes and it's all very minor. So it's not a lot of money yet, 251st being the biggest question mark. I'm going through this quickly, so I don't want to gloss over for anybody up there. For next year, or potentially this year, depending on what costs come in as, we were looking at Blue Spruce Road, where there would be some ditching, some sloping, some culvert extensions, aprons. The culvert extensions, what's happening is the road literally shears right off right where the culverts are. In some cases, literally, there's shoulders this wide. And because the ditch is so steep, the road's actually sloughing off. You look now, there's cracking on either side where it just wants to give way. So we need to stabilize those. Looking at doing some aprons, resetting a culvert on that road as well, some riprap, some tiling, and there's some corners where the road is migrated that we need to recenter. That project is more expensive, which is one of the reasons why we're talking about it for next year. Depending on what it comes in as and getting more quotes, we may consider it this year if we have enough interest or desire to manage it. And then the last thing on the list is just 228, or in 2028, there's 130th Street. If you remember, 2 years ago, we did a grant with the DNR. That's the minimum maintenance road here off of 98. We did a split grant with the DNR where they bought the gravel and we did the blading, and we graveled the entire east-west section of that road. What wasn't done was the north-south section. So you heard me mention earlier, this year, we're gonna do some culverts, approach, and sloping on that road. There's a corner where water runs across and it's washing out on not only both sides of the road, but the road itself. For $2,300, we could put culverts in, we can slope it, we can get the water to drain properly and put gravel on that corner. In the future, the DNR said there is, not this year, and likely not next year, but potentially the year after, an opportunity for a grant like we did last time to put class 5 on the rest of the road. So it's kind of on the list. They're working their end to see what they can do. We're gonna kind of keep it on ours and decide what we want to do at that time if there's still interest. The road does need it. Believe it or not, we bladed it a lot. The front section's holding up fairly well, needs a little bit of love this year, but not much, mostly blading. But that north-south section that we didn't touch is starting to go back to its original self. So it will need some attention. And with that, I'm gonna stop talking about roads.
One question.
Yes, please.
On Alcott, back to that, has the design changed in relationship to a bike path or anything like that?
No, but that's a good question. So, no, the design has not changed. We are proceeding with the road, so maybe about the design, it will have 1 foot bump out on both sides of the road. So the road will be 2 feet wider than it currently is. And there will be a 2 foot walking path on both sides of the road. So that's what we had discussed last year around the April meeting. We kind of agreed to go ahead with. The engineer wrote up that proposal as such, and then we as the board decided, I believe, in the October meeting to proceed with that. So
Is it gonna be striped flags on the edges or?
there's gonna be a wide white, so it's, right now you have a narrow fog line, there'll be a 6-inch fog line on both sides. The road width will, as I said, will be 2 feet wider, but the lanes will actually be 1 foot narrower.
Oh.
So instead of 10 feet, there'll be 9. The engineer believes there's some perception that by it being narrower, people will drive slower. It feels a little more encroached. He said there's some literature to support that. I haven't read it. I don't know. Time will tell. But at least there'll be a walking path. I think every time I'm on that road, there's people walking and biking and taking grandkids. I think, I can't speak as a board member for this, but just as a resident, I think it's a great idea. And I wish we had maybe considered it earlier, but I'm just glad we got it into this project. I think it's gonna be something that we benefit from and are glad we have done in the future. So that's basically what Jackie wrote up in the grant, was to use this, with the engineer's help, use this road as a case example to the state that here's a road that is not only for transportation, but for recreation. And that there's a benefit here that if we do this well in Birchdale Township of Todd County, then there's many other roads within the state that could also benefit. Hence, the state should maybe support this as an example to see if it works well, and then it can be transferred to other townships and counties.
And that replaces the bump outs for mailboxes.
So, yeah, and there'll be, exactly, yep. There will be still bump outs on corners because of trying to protect the shoulders, so they'll be 2 feet wider, but otherwise, yes.
Any more questions? Then we'll move on. Item C.
Okay, we have been talking on the board about possible getting AED units. And if you haven't gotten anything, there's information on the back, it's not colored. But, you know, this is something that's been popping up all over. I mean, they have it out at Fairy Lake Parks, they have it in Sock Center. What is it, by the campground there? Sinclair Lewis, yeah, they have a couple of them in Melrose. Fairy Lake.
There was one on Arbor Drive.
Yeah.
Big Birch.
Yeah, Fairy Lake's got 2 of them. And what we've been doing is we've been talking to different people, different places that we can possibly get grants. These units will cost between $7,000 and $10,000, depending on what you do, where you put it, how you install it. They have to have electric run to them. The electric will keep it warm in the winter and cool in the summer, climate control. But they will they will, it costs, $600 a year for maintenance and upkeep. And that is, for, you name it, they cover it. I mean, if something comes out, if something goes wrong, they will come out and fix it. If somebody, if the batteries run out or the, electric, units in there run out, they will come out, they will fix them as part of the maintenance and upkeep. It's, I've talked to a lot of people that are just afraid of something like this because, geez, what if my spouse has got a heart attack? I'm not gonna know what to do when it's gonna be down the road. Well, the instructions are right there. I mean, you can, if you can read, you can do it. Basically. It's got a GPS tracker, so if somebody opens it up, if somebody opens up that thing, it's gonna take their picture, so they're gonna know who has it. It'll have a GPS on it, it'll dial 911. It comes with probably everything you could need. I mean, have you used one before, or you've seen them?
We purchased them also for the companies to work with, and they're very good. You start them up, they tell you exactly what to do.
Great.
So
great, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's something that you can use. Arbor Drive has got one, and all of the people on there kicked in and got it. What we would like to do is we're gonna present this to you now and see if this is something that you wanna do, if we wanna pursue this.
Yeah, when you're done, I just have a question.
Okay.
Well, all right. So we have these, you have them, you named numerous different places where they've been. How many of them have been deployed and to what success rate? What support is it providing?
The support is that, you can get there, you have I think it's up to 8 minutes before somebody is declared dead.
No, I understand.
But,
I understand the need.
How many have not actually been used around here?
Yeah.
I don't have that information. My guess is probably not a lot.
I think the guy was here that you said there's an app that you can have.
There is.
It'll show you exactly where they're all at.
Yeah, there's 25 of them. I've got the app open right now. There's 25 in Sauk Center. Many of those, though, are in businesses, so they're not available to the public necessarily.
Yeah. So, if how many have been used, I don't know. Probably not a real high percentage of them.
Obviously, the idea is you don't want to have to use
them. Exactly.
I understand that. I'm just wondering, because I see these all over too, and I just think to myself, right here, why? Whether that's wherever I am.
It depends on where they are. Cowards has one, Melrose Park has one. Where people are generally hanging out or populations are. And the first one that we get would be here in the town hall. So this will cover Ward Springs, Little Birch access, whatever. Now, what I would like to see and what I'm talking to people about doing is getting one and putting it on either Alcott on.
I talked to Tony at the Dam Point over there. He's willing to supply the electricity and have one right there. And so all residents around there could use it, and also the eating establishment, which isn't a bad idea,
Yeah. A lot of people.
And one thing nice about it, supply electricity, you don't have the minimum charge per month.
Right.
And what's it, $4 or $5 a month, I think.
Electric is, they figured $5 a month.
Yeah, and you got
$600 for maintenance, and they cover pretty much.
And I think there was some grants a person could apply for, right?
Yeah, we're looking into that. I'm still talking to Todd County about and we're we're trying to get this, grant covered, grant from Todd County, from the opioid settlement that the state has, because
Everybody's looking for the opioids.
each one of these units comes with 2 Narcan units in it.
Yeah.
So it's technically, it's covered by opioid, overdose.
My opinion is, I can see them at a, establishment where there's a bunch of people, like a wedding reception or whatever. The chances of someone knowing how to use it, granted, wherever they go, but just my opinion, if you can have it somewhere where there's events going on and things like that, the value potential, you never want to lose a life, but
Yeah.
it's just what, to have them, time somebody gets, and just voicing my opinion, time somebody gets here, my wife worked in the ambulance a long time, she said, people are scared, they get to them, granted, I watched a guy that sells them, displayed it that night, and he had a hard time making it work here. At that point for me, I was against it because the guy selling it couldn't explain it well enough to make it work. That's what I seen, but I think that there's enough people in the country that know how to use them, and you get in a situation where you have the restaurants or somewhere in town or something, the potential of it saving somebody's life is a lot greater than here. Just so much.
He knows how to use it, it's just, he couldn't get to the battery power up.
Yeah.
So, but what I see happening here is one over on Olcott or by Olcott or by Sock Lake or however you want to phrase it. And then I would like to see one over by, Angler Drive and, Apple Trail. That's between Big Birch, between Little Birch. It's not that far away from Hunter's Bay.
I have a question. You just said people before not, but the thing is where you're gonna locate it. And like you said, by Birch Lake. So if you're gonna put them any place like by public access, more so people will, buy it than that.
Yeah, I mean, we can, that's definitely.
Well, like I already said, you need power. Some of these public access got street lights and stuff on them, right?
You can't put it in public access.
Huh?
You can't put it in public access.
DNR will.
I already tried to do one on them.
Okay.
State won't let them put. No, I had it completely funded and they wouldn't let us put it on.
But, the 3 heaviest populated areas would be here at Ward Springs, here by Sock Lake, and then over by Big Birch, Little Birch. There's a lot of people that have just summer places there, but there's a lot of people, especially on Apple Lane, and that live on Big Birch, that are there all year round.
So I guess what the board's thinking, if we can get the grants or get one, we'll get a couple of them and put them here and there and see.
But you also look at a $600 fee for each one.
Yeah.
I've got a question about the technology of them. Do we know how long they will last before the technology is no longer valid?
That is something that the place that's called Advocates for Health, they are responsible for that. They are responsible for doing any upgrades. They are responsible for batteries, for maintenance, for everything.
Okay, so if, 4 years down the road, technology has changed, and it's gonna change every year.
Sure.
Are they gonna replace these units then? We pay a fee and they replace them?
I don't know if they will replace them, but they will make them so that they will be able to be functional, and they're not just gonna let it drop. That's something that they do. That's their responsibility. So I guess my question is, how does everybody feel about getting some?
I don't know, I think you might not need it, but if you do, it sure would be nice to have them.
Yep.
Look around people in this room, not being mean, but not all of them are real young, so all the people around here would be really nice.
Careful there, Todd, careful.
I can't help it. If I have a heart attack, I'd really like to have somebody save me. If I never need it, just like insurance. I pay insurance a lot and stuff, and I never use it, so it's really good.
So my machine saved me that half. Boy, you guys try to get me off.
No, there was, a few years back, there was a guy on Hunter's Bay that had a heart attack and died. You know, the best they could do at that time was to, get a, medevac or whatever they are, the helicopter from St. Cloud to come out from Central Care to get him. By the time they got it out here, you know, he was dead. You know, could that have saved him? Don't have a clue about it, but it's a possibility.
And that's what I was just wondering about, and how much are they being used? I see them everywhere, I don't truly know. If nobody I know has ever used one or has been involved with it.
Guess you don't want to really use one.
They don't want to, but I'm just, I mean,
I think it's worth.
It's like the insurance.
yeah, no, I understand, having one here, how many people know it's here? You know, there's the knowledge of it all.
This comes with 2 signs, and you can buy other signs.
Okay.
So you get AED, like the one on Arbor Drive. You know, it's got AED, unit and arrows pointing. You could put one out on the highway out here. You could put one, you know, on Alligator, wherever. I mean, it's, you know, yeah, they come with signs. You can buy other signs too. So is this something that everyone feels is worth looking into and pursuing?
Depends on who's paying for it. If you get it from this county, yeah, but otherwise I don't, you know, there's first off, people not gonna be able to or know where they are or remember where they are. Because usually someone have a heart attack and they're gonna go 911 and start doing chest compressions, I believe. And then, oh wait, there's one by the city hall or wherever. That may or may not pop in your head. And what, we got 25 people here in this room that's gonna know about it compared to everybody, you know, like you said, the biggest thing is get to know where they are located at and how you know.
You know, that's something we could put on the website, something, you know, we can put in hometown news. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's just they're great. We had them at work. We never had to use them, but at least we knew where they were at.
Yeah, sure.
And.
Well, why don't we sit to pursue see if we can't get a grant and see how that comes out and.
That's probably the best, if they're gonna pay for it.
Yeah. And
get a grant.
then we can always decide, you know, if we should go ahead and get one.
I know that there is, this is, I thought kind of strange, but Ferry Lake, Todd County funded 2 of them on Ferry Lake Park. Okay, now they have stopped funding them, and we had to kind of fight to get it, get them to do it. And now with the opioid thing, it makes it a lot easier. But you know, Todd County could possibly do it. I have talked to, I don't know, you might even know Blaine Chimba. Is that her last name? Castriva?
No.
Okay.
Joe and Blaine.
Yeah, I met her because I had my knee replaced a while ago and she was my home health nurse. I talked to her, she said that, yeah, she had dealt with, Sock Center about getting one in, at the, Sinclair Lewis Park. That she gave me some name of a couple of people to talk to the Lions Club. See, the Lions Club, everybody says, let's go to the Lions Club, you know, but the Lions Club got fully funded by Todd County. So I mean, you know.
So
the general consensus is
the one that Ferry Lake, the Conservation Club, has got quite a bit of money to those too.
Didn't you see you just had one funded for Little Bird Lake? You must have had that funded somehow, so.
Well, it sure wasn't $7,000 to $10,000.
Right, so if you got it done once, why can't we do it again someday?
There's different units you can get.
Yeah.
the general consensus is go forward and kind of look at it and what we can do, feel it out. Great, thank you. Item D.
Broadband update. We have some positive news about broadband. There's 3 maps. We looked in the back. They need to start. Last year in April, we met with Arvey. Arvey approached us asking for a grant to help with what's called a deed application. So it's federal funds that got passed to the state for internet extension of broadband. In order to incentivize the BEAD grant, they were looking for local government assistance, which we committed to giving them some money depending upon the project. That amount has yet to be determined based on what their grant application comes back with. So we wanted to, I guess, maybe take a little bit of credit for hearing residents and the need for broadband, and that we were committed to it and we're willing to invest, I think it was up to $12,000, if I'm not mistaken, to help incentivize the BEAD application. If you look at the maps, we'll start with, you've got two that say number 1 and number 2 on it. We'll start with those next. Look for the one that doesn't have any label. I printed out the color one because unfortunately black and white doesn't have it. If you want, I've got color copies I can pass out. What they're going to do in 2026 is for those of you that remember something called the Great Eagle Exchange. The Great Eagle Exchange, where there isn't currently broadband, is going to get broadband installed. If you want to see color, so it's anything in aqua. So they've done already parts of Ward Springs, they've done parts of 28, but all of the other parts that they haven't done, they've done parts of 2 and parts of 98. But the parts they haven't done will be finished this year in what was the Great Eagle Exchange. So if you look at the color map, there's a gold bar inside the white shaded area. The white shaded area is the zoomed in location of the map. The gold bar is what was the Great Eagle Exchange. Any location with a red dot and an aqua colored line on the road is who's going to get broadband this year. What will probably happen is that it will be installed in summer months, every time starting from May through September, but then it may not get hooked up until November or December. So we've been waiting, in my opinion, far too long. I just have to wait a few more months for it to be active, but it will be active.
Do you have a commitment on this?
This has been committed and confirmed that this will be happening this year. Funds are already set aside, project's already started, contractors are already lined up. They actually did this last year, but they couldn't confirm it until last week. Union Zuger. So then if you look at the other maps, which are also unfortunately blurry, these are the BEAD applications. So again, if you look at, you kind of have to hold the maps together, and it's a little blurry to make sense of, but if we look at number 1, you'll notice Long Lake, you'll notice County Road 15, you'll notice parts of Alcott, 110th Street. This is what used to be US West, CenturyLink, now in Sauk Center. This will be Arvig moving into that area with their own line of broadband. This is proposed, it's not confirmed yet. The second map also is proposed, and this is the south half of 99 and 251st Street, and the loops off of it. So again, these are in the Sauk Center Exchange, not the Great Eagle Exchange, the old days. So if you look at the color map, and you look at 251st Street, and you look at Long Lake, or you look at County Road 99, you'll notice the map kind of stops partway where the residents are. Well, anything south of there is not in the Great Eagle Exchange, not in Arvig's territory, so they have to apply for a grant, which is a B grant, which they've applied for, to extend outside of their area. CenturyLink and Sauk Center committed that they are not going to bring broadband in, so Arvig saw an opportunity, they applied for a grant, they're in the process of it, and once it gets awarded, then they will proceed, and that's the grant that we're also supplementing. He told me, Mark from Arvig told me that this is work that is planned sometime between 2027 and 2030. So if you live in those areas, you're gonna have to be a little bit more patient, a little bit longer. But and we asked them when they were here last year, well, you're literally, like if you're on Alden Loop, you're literally stopping at one house and you have 3 more to finish it off. Why wouldn't you just finish it? And they said, because it's not our territory and we have to wait for the beat grant. So while it seems silly, it's the olden days of telephone cartels. So that's the update there, but it sounds like by 2030, pretty much all of Birchdale Township will have broadband. Any questions?
Sure does help. We got.
You have it now, don't you?
Yeah, it's just, we couldn't have a computer in our house, couldn't do anything, we just TV spun like this.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, farms are businesses now, and really, you need to have it. I think really just to stay up to speed on everything you need to run a business.
Well, it really became evident during COVID when kids were supposed to study from home, but then most of Birchdale Township didn't have internet at a speed that was fast enough. And I guess I would credit Jackie and the board for kind of spurring this along, because Jackie applied for a state grant to get broadband in. So we actually got a call from Arvig saying, well, are you trying to install internet in your township? And we said, well, yeah, because you're not doing it, so we're going to do it on our own. And it kind of spurred it along that we ultimately didn't even proceed with the grant, but we did get them to take us seriously. We've had several meetings with them, and we're able to move this along. I don't think it would have happened, maybe I'm optimistic, but I don't think it would happen this quickly if we hadn't started this, deciding to take it into our own hands. And waiting for Broadband Coalition of Todd County, it's, kind of just stalling. There's a lot of consensus, and we can have a lot of data saying we don't have broadband, but it doesn't mean we're getting broadband. We just have data saying we don't have it. This is, measurable results. So
Those that haven't looked into Starlink, you should, it's a godsend.
Yeah.
We just noticed the Broadband Coalition, which I'm a member of, they looked on the state map, which these grants all fall under, I think it's deed. Is that where it falls under, deed?
it was under deed, now it's under feed.
Okay,
But yeah,
so there's an Office of Broadband, and if you go on their state website, you can see all the counties in the state and how much money has been spent on grant funding in each county. Todd County is the highest county in the state of Minnesota. I think that's just from people sending in broadband extension applications, which we have on the front page of the township. That is called an extension program. The more people fill those out, it incentivizes these providers to extend broadband. And obviously it's been working over the last, 10 years, because the money, I was like shocked, because the county has a fairly large Amish population. So if you look at our west side, they don't have incentivizing to put any broadband in that area. And still, they've really spent a lot of money through state funds to get it in. So that's a good thing. A lot of people must be yelling, give us broadband in Todd County.
Any questions on that? Moving on to item 8.
All right, so, I think Jackie and I are gonna talk about the budget.
We'll be looking at this.
Proposed, right, yeah, the proposed budget. So, the budget that we're operating under right now is the column, that's got the heading of 2026. So right now, we've got, $50,000 that will be coming in, under the revenue, 23 under the fire fund, 385 under the road and bridge fund. Next to it, I put in what we actually spent last year in those same categories. So last year, we came very close to spending what we received for revenue. We spent $49,609. Fire fund, we spent more than what we had in there. So we spent $30,997. Road and bridge, we spent more, but again, I had mentioned earlier that 262,000 of that was for LCOT. So we had a budget of 458. We have spent 540 this last year. Our ending balances, again, this is a repeat of what I had talked about earlier with the Board of Audit report that I had gone through. So you'll see that our ending balance for revenue is at 269,786. What we're proposing is that we do not put any more money in that this year, because it looks like we're spending around 50,000. In this case, this 269 is going to last us for quite a while. So we're proposing not to put anything more in there. With the fire fund, we are in the negative 7,200. So we're actually proposing 39,000 to go in there instead of the 23 that we've done in the other years. So next year at this time, we should see a very close to a wash on that. And then on road and bridge, that's where we put most of the money. So we are proposing $100,000 additional to our levy, but the majority of that money going into the road and bridge fund, the road and bridge / gas tax fund. That will help us with the upcoming projects that we're talking about. It will help us down the road when we have to completely redo like Elcott or Almond Drive here and some of the other ones that Joe had mentioned earlier. So that is what, as Jackie and I reviewed this very closely, that's what we had come up with. As far as the rest of that, there was absolutely no change from the current rates to the proposed rates for meeting attendance, hourly wage, election judge, technology fee, gopher fee being the same. The only change is mileage, and that is one that we do not control. That's a state number that we have to go by.
Any questions?
It probably ties back to the original one when we were talking about the general fund, road and bridge gas tax. Why isn't gas tax written on there anywhere as part of funding received when you're talking about adding $100,000 to the?
Yeah, because the road and bridge fund, where we see the current budget, that is the money that we receive in from the county in that area. The gas tax is a state figure, and Jackie and I are trying to figure out how we can combine those two because they are used for the same purpose.
Yeah.
They're both for roads and bridges. So, when we looked at the road and bridge fund, that came in at a negative $281,000 at the end of the year. But then we've got all this gas tax money sitting out there. So, really, we have 47,000, basically what's left in road and bridge, right? So.
And then we're gonna bond for the road project. We can go back and recoup some of the stuff that we spent on Elcott. If we want to put it in that bond, and then we'd have that fund to do some other stuff with. If not, we can.
And that's a good point, Jim, because also when we bond, that will mean that we have got an extra expenditure every year of that bond. So, that my guesses will be anywhere from 75,000 to 150,000 per year, just for that piece alone.
And that's probably 10 to 15 years.
Yes.
So that's gotta come out of that.
Yeah.
And maybe just to add a little more color, because I didn't mention it with the road report. So the estimated cost from the engineer for Elcott was $1.2 million. The bids that we've had come in are less than that, around $1 million. Some are more, obviously. But so we have some opportunity of savings there. But to Marlene's point, and I didn't talk about it because the list I had was for 3 years, but in the next 5, we have this road out here.
Yeah.
We have, so a third of the township roads are paved. Surprisingly, a third of the residents live on paved roads. We have roads in Ward Springs, we have Bluegill. And so they're about the same, in total, about the same distance of mileage as Elcott is currently. So if we look at it, we're gonna be paying a bond for 10 years if we're lucky, half the life of the road, maybe 15 years, half the life of the road. But then 5 years from now, we're gonna be taking out another bond to do the roads again. And it just starts to snowball, right? So we're trying to be aggressive, bond as little as we need to, and take care of the roads as they need it, and stay ahead of it. And a little bit paying for the sins of the past, of not keeping our levy up over time, but trying to be responsible about it now with maintenance of the road and all our money.
Is there some sort of a formula threshold or what that determines like additional roads that would get paved? Converting from gravel to pavement, like is it like based on like population density or vehicle counts? Or I mean, that's the other thing is 5 years from now, are we looking at additional roads that are gonna get added to that paved inventory?
So that's a good question. I don't want to speak for somebody else who wants to answer it, but
Well, it's costly, but we've had some townships that they brought up that have had some tar roads that were really bad, they went to gravel and that didn't sit well with their township, so yes.
I guess the last few roads that we did tar, the residents along the road paid for all the tar.
And I think that was Alcott originally.
Yeah, originally Alcott was on this one, then we just did one last year. Ambassador, that was done the same way.
So yeah, just looking, you know, down the road, you know, do you have, now it's 30 miles of road,
No.
10 years is it 40, you know?
so like what you were mentioning, the county does it that way. The county collects data, what is the road, traffic on the road, starts off as a gravel, then do they put dust control on it, then do they consider paving it? All that's based on the number of vehicles that traverse it, not necessarily the number of residents. However, if you're a resident on those roads, you can also be the squeaky wheel enough that your road will actually get paved. All that to say, we don't have that data. It's something we've been discussing, because we do have roads that aren't paved, that don't have that many residents, that get a lot of traffic. We notice it with dust control, we notice it with skating, we notice it with snowfall. So the point is simply to say, I think that would be a useful tool in the future. But just like that has been done in the past with the first roads that were paved, Alcott, here, Almond, and Wood Springs, was that you're always initiated by residents who are requesting the road to be paved. The township would bring the road up to township standard, and then the residents would pay for the next level paving. There is, to Jim's point about the state statute, is that townships need to maintain it as gravel. And there's a reason why Alcott is paved, because while we're talking about a lot of money and a lot of expenditure, it is still cheaper for all of us to have it paved than it is to maintain it as gravel. By putting the gravel on, by blading it, because we frankly couldn't blade it enough to maintain it throughout a summer. So the paving is obviously the better choice, it's just really hard to take a bite out of it right now. Gary, you had a question.
Okay, you're talking about bonding, what's that gonna cost us, the average on your taxes?
Well, your levies, what we keep raising is to create enough revenue to pay that bond, so that doesn't change. If now at the last 3 years or 4 years, we raised the levy $100,000, so that's you're raising your taxes.
Right.
That money is paying this bond back.
Okay, so in other words, they're not gonna be, you look at your taxes and in the township or whatever, you're not gonna see a 2 or 3% increase or nothing. We've been slowly taking care of that over the past.
It's paid through the levy already.
Okay.
And I imagine there's an interest that
There will be
is
on the bond.
associated with the bond?
Yes.
What is that rate?
It looked like, I mean, we don't know exactly how much will be bonded, but I think we were looking at like 4-point-something% interest.
It depends on the length of time.
Yep, and the amount.
10-year, 15-year,
Yeah.
and that'll be up to the board to determine.
10-year was a less interest than a 15-year bond.
We'll have to look at those numbers and what they are and what we feel we can afford at the time and how long we're gonna go out, so.
And it'd be nice, optimistically, it'd be nice to be in a position where we could maintain our roads, pay for our bond, and not be paying for a bond until the moment we have to pay the road again. Because then we're just making payments for our whole life.
Yeah.
How many, like, okay, I think we've raised it 100,000 for 3 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
Or is it 4 years in a row?
Three.
Sure, 4.
And I think this would be the fourth.
Just right before.
How many more years? Because the first year, the first 100,000 was basically because prices had went up so much. Most of that was eaten up. That money is just going for expenses. But then the next 100,000 and the two previous, right, the ones coming in this year, are all basically going for paying for this work. So if we vote for 100,000 tonight, that's going for paying for this work for the most part. So we, starting next year, we should be somewhere in the range of 300,000 to the good, right, of paying this bill off. So how many more years do you think we need to keep raising it, I guess is my question. If my analogy is kind of on par.
I think you got a great,
I asked last year.
great recollection of it, because yeah, the first year was just, we were at deficit.
Yes.
And even part of 2 years ago was a deficit. Not entirely, but a small portion of it. And I guess I can't speak for Marlene or anybody else, but my opinion is, and just seeing, we got lucky with where the bids are at. If they came in at or above what the engineer expected, I wouldn't have an answer for you, but I'd say it would be likely that we'd be revisiting an increase next year. Given that they're lower, I think time will tell, but it looks favorable that this might be it for a bit.
And we have to do our due diligence, but
Yeah.
we can't, we discussed this at our board meeting last, but sooner or later, I don't care if it's a little bit each year, it's got to be a lot.
Yeah.
And I live on County Road 2, so this comes to me exactly zero. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, but, I get it, we're all in this together, it's just the point of having the $400,000 increase is.
It's becoming real.
Yeah, it's a very good percentage on your taxes.
I mean, we can thank you for living on 2 and completing the life of that road, because that helped us get the cost this year. That's the project that was bid 4 hours by 4 hours.
To answer your question, as we go forward, we can look at it and go, okay, things are going good. We can back it off too. But
No, and I'm all for, like I said, I think last year, I'd much rather pay up front and not pay it in interest or whatever,
Yes.
right? I mean, but I was just curious if, that was kind of my thought process there. The other question I had is with, when people do choose to have a road paved, I take it there's some criteria that like the township has too, that it's done to a certain standard, right? Because if that road falls apart, now it's the township's problem, right? After it's paved?
It has to meet the state or county road standard.
Okay.
any other questions?
On this, just a small one, but I do a lot of gopher trapping, and I think it's kind of a pain in the butt to have cut all 4 feet off. Can't we go back to the Dale?
I actually looked it up today, and it is a state law
No
that
kidding.
you have to have 4 feet.
Have 4?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring my wife and you guys up there.
Okay.
It's a
You're
nuisance.
gonna talk to the big guy down in Indiana.
Right.
It's a nuisance to cut all 4 feet off and keep. and
Yeah, I understand.
My cats love to eat them.
Yeah.
We try a lot of.
Sweet, I'm counting them.
Yeah.
When I'm not even.
After I use them for gopher feed soup, can I still catch them?
Oh.
You should though. Didn't say nothing with eye on
Any other questions around the budget? We don't have to do anything. Then,
Did you vote on it last year?
I think that the residents did make a motion to vote. But, so yes, the residents would make a motion to vote on the
just the voting to rate the levy.
on what they would want to set it for.
So what, I guess,
And then at the March meeting, the board will take that as a recommendation.
looking for a motion then.
I'll take the heat. So is the motion to increase it an additional 100,000 or just to continue the 100,000?
For this year.
You would be making the motion to raise, if you want to raise it 100,000. That's the motion. Not, we're not adding an addition to, this is what we're talking about, so the motion is that. So we have a motion on the floor.
To either raise or to keep it at the same, you
So
can
what
make
is-
that motion as well.
100,000.
So we're making a motion to leave it at the 100,000 or to add another 100,000 on top of that? To maintain the 100,000.
We're making a motion to increase the levy by $100,000.
Correct.
For this year.
But we already increased it last year. Does that one disappear?
No,
No.
that stays.
That one's gone?
No, still there.
It's still there. So we're raising it. It was
So it'll be the
$100,000
fourth, the
raising
fourth
it.
year we raised it 100,000.
So it'll be two.
There's a motion on the floor, Gary, to raise it.
Okay.
It's gonna need a second and a vote,
Well, is there any more discussion?
right?
Do I have a second then?
I'll second
Already seconded. All in favor?
Alright.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You got a question?
it. No, I'm just opposed, but it doesn't matter.
You can vote. Choose a Scott document. Any other township business? You got it. Back here. Good. Any other?
How about going back to the AED with all the people that are using townships and all the people that are out there, would that be a better spot
For,
for the AED device?
To put her over there?
Have it on that farm.
No, you don't, they don't want anybody on their property, they don't get what they need. There's enough, no.
Well, it would be anybody.
I know that, but I think you're better off here.
I bet, you know, we'll
My
discuss
thought.
that. We've got that going forward. We'll have a look at grants and stuff, so we'll figure out a spot. Move on to 10. Meeting date for next year?
So the meeting for next year would be set for March 9th, 2027. Again, the election from 4 to 8 p.m., the Board of Canvas at 8 to 8:15 p.m., and the annual meeting at 8:15 p.m. So we'll be looking for a motion.
Yeah, for a motion to approve those dates and times.
I'll make a motion.
Blessing.
Got 'em?
Who was our first motion? Jeff and Jack. Okay.
Who was the second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? Motion carried. For a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Joe made that motion. Do I have a second?
Eric made it.
Yeah,
Huh?
Eric Peterson.
Eric made it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks for everybody coming.
Long day. Oh, they
John Henry. Sure. Yeah, yeah, no. Well, 21 years ago. Because